Well, it's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and Uber is making an effort to educate users on internet privacy. The ride-sharing company has been implementing new security standards under the leadership of its first ever Chief Privacy Officer, Ruby Zefo. Zefo was hired in response to 2 data breaches that affected tens of millions of users and drivers. And she joins me now to discuss the company's new initiatives and outlook. Welcome, Ruby. Boy, you joined 14 months ago at a very critical time when Uber really needed some help on this. How would you rate your success at this point at Uber?
I would rate it very highly. I mean, obviously, I did a lot of due diligence when I started at the company to make sure that it really wanted somebody sassy like me to change things and raise the bar. And I was welcomed with open arms by everybody, even people whom you might think might be more antagonistic to a role like mine, like the security people. Sometimes they're concerned that privacy will stop them from doing some of their security things, or safety, or any number of other people. But that wasn't the case at all. I was welcomed. People were very happy to have me, very interested in improving our processes and procedures. And so I felt like all of my due diligence paid off, and then I was very happy that I'd made the decision.
What would you say is really your greatest success so far?
I think it's just changing the narrative. I mean, it has to start internally, and obviously with all the press we had and everything before I came, people were a little disheartened. And so we launched some internal privacy principles. We talked about what it means to have the law as the low bar and to do more for customers, to try to keep things consistent for the user experience beyond just our current geography into all the geographies, even though there are different laws and different cultural norms. Like, what do people want to see in the app? How can they have the same good experience no matter where they are? And then, of course, how we make sure that the data is protected no matter whose hands it's in, which is also something we work on.
So that's a huge concern, data protection, as you know. How does Uber make sure that this doesn't end up in the wrong hands?
Well, we work with our partners, so one of the people that we work with a lot are city municipalities. And so we've been having a lot of discussions with them on what it means to be governed by the same types of data protections that private entities are. Because in the US, unlike Europe, public sector is not included in the laws right now. And in fact, the new California law from my home state doesn't include public sector governance. So helping to educate the people on what types of data they need, what they don't need, and how to reach their natural goals of traffic management and city planning without over collection or misuse, and securing it all properly are ways that we work with the cities.
I'm sure you've been following the efforts on Capitol Hill when it comes to data protection and privacy. Facebook's push, the Department of Justice as well, pushing back on this. Where do you stand? Do you believe, you mentioned California, it's really the only state to pass these sort of extensive laws. Should there be a national policy on this to protect people's data?
Absolutely, because what's not scalable is having 50 different omnibus state privacy laws. And the European General Data Protection Regulation, which is somewhat where California got its law, is a good framework to start from. You don't have to copy it, and there may be sensibilities in the United States that are different, and so it offers a framework that you can toggle, but still something consistent, so that we're using our resources for making things better for users in ways that aren't legally mandated, because we have a framework that's consistent for users no matter where they are. So I do believe in a federal law. I do believe it should preempt state law, but I don't believe that means it should water things down, which is what states like California are concerned about.
Why is Europe so far ahead in protecting their citizens' data than the United States is?
It's a good question. They're not ahead in everything. I mean, we have pretty strong health information laws and financial information laws and things like that, but ours are sectoral. They are ahead in viewing it as a fundamental human right. And that comes from their history with World War II, the invasiveness of the tracking of people. And so when you look at it through that lens, you can understand why they're so passionate about it. And in the United States, we have these First Amendment rights that sometimes conflict with, for example, the right to be forgotten. And so finding that right balance for your culture and the way your country has grown up is important. But people have very different opinions, even within the same household, no less the same geography. So,
are you optimistic that Congress will pass some sort of nationwide law protecting privacy, data collection?
I am optimistic. I'm hoping it doesn't take some horrible situation to occur to drive people to start agreeing, but we'll have to see where it goes, because right now there isn't quite enough agreement on things like preemption and other important factors for that to be imminent, in my opinion, but I do think it will come.
We know that there's a move right now. Uber drivers want to be able to have the data that they have, you know, that talks about whether the market is oversaturated, how much they're making per you know, call that they take. Do you support that? Does Uber believe that they will at some point turn over that data to drivers?
We turn over all their personal data. So we have a data protection officer, which we're required to have in the European Union, but anyone can ask for their data, and we will, you know, we will give them what's easy to download immediately, and then if they want more, we will work with them to get the data that they have every right to collect.
So next time you come on, what do you hope is your next benchmark that you want to move forward with Uber when it comes to data and privacy?
I hope that we are able to spend our time in even more really nifty, fancy, you know, features that we want to put in the app, you know, that our engineers have time to put in the app just because people love it and will give us, you know, that brand trust and attraction that we're looking for.
Ruby Zefo, 15 years at Intel before heading to Uber. Thank you
Thank you very much
for joining us. Yeah.
Thanks.